What was that?
This is 71-14, paragraph 2.
No, this has to be
Somebody
withdrawn.
said that, when you retire.
Then take it out.
Retire, you do what you want.
Or you're gonna have to do it without,
Do it now.
just cross it off.
Maybe I'll cut back when my kids become a lawyer and stuff.
And it's listed twice.
What's that?
So how do I handle it?
I would cross off,
Send a solution to make it.
where it is.
Just amend the resolution.
Yeah, where's, you know,
Amend the resolution.
where is
We're
Rich?
not here tonight, so what do
We have no attorney?
Amend the resolution.
What do you need to do?
Amend that.
Just cross it off.
Which is basically crossing.
Yeah, just cross it off before we even introduce it.
If you cut back on what
Okay,
you
well,
do,
we'll go
what
with
you do, I'm playing golf.
We're not gonna, just the resolution.
Like up to West Point.
No one's
Okay, what did I do with my stupid pen?
Friday.
Just a,
You can't answer that for you.
He's at West Point. He's
No, I got it in my pants.
we'll do a quick correction.
Well, you're going to turn it on.
Just cross off and then Vernon.
Just need to get back.
Yeah, just don't trip. We'll never hear the end.
I have a whole deck of minutes.
Good.
I have dragon, so I just dictated.
Then we just pay some. We don't-
It's 2 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock.
I just put 800.
Wait a minute, so should I-
It's because it's carried.
It's wrong. We have to be there to have a special meeting.
Yeah, it is wrong.
It's carried.
You can,
Okay, it's come a long way.
But what can you
Well,
say?
guys, you ready?
Go time.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The village requirement provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given with published in the Asbury Park Press on February 24th, 2014, and material times on February 28th, 2014. This notice is posted at the Township of Middletown Sewerage Authority Administration, the Township of Middletown Municipal Building, and filed with the Township Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Osborne?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mrs. Smith? Mrs. Jones?
Here.
Here.
Mrs. Epson?
Here.
Mrs. Beck? Here.
The first item is the minutes of the regular meeting. I passed out some changes to the minutes. We
Okay.
have a complete set now.
Can I have a motion? Did everyone read it?
No,
All right.
not the changes.
Take a minute and read it.
It's okay.
I know we're ready.
Still reading it.
consecutive minutes that I have. Okay, are we voting on the minutes for our last meeting? Oh,
Yeah, they were,
were
there was a
changed.
change
I
to the
didn't
3
know
There's a
pages.
change in there too.
The last 3 pages were amended.
Oh, and I don't, if I have it, I've lost it in the papers that I've been scattering around, so if it's just a typo, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so is anyone ready to make a motion?
Make a motion to be accepted.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epke?
Was not present, abstained.
And Mrs. Val?
Yes.
Okay. Next item is the consent agenda. Consideration of the consent agenda, resolution 61 through 64, 2014. Does anyone desire to discuss an individual item on any of these resolutions?
Does anyone have any questions?
No.
No questions? Okay.
I have one question on it, rock solid construction, page 3 of the construction requisition. Why is 27 Michelle Drive listed there? Was that the location of
No,
the?
the bigger.
Anyone else? Have a motion?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epke?
Yes.
Mrs. Val?
Yes.
Okay, next is the engineer status report.
Okay, nothing, we haven't been doing anything this month on support services for Sandy. That's been handled in-house. Main Street repairs still on hold. Quite a number of the gas service connections have now been made. The first being completed for Emery Drive, Beacon Hill, and Clay Pit. So that, finally, they moved along with that.
John, question on that. The next sentence says, are we gonna convert generators or we're going to replace generators?
Either or, in some
We
cases,
don't
some
know.
are replacements, we don't know.
Okay.
We don't know. Obviously, Emery Drive is a replacement. Some of the others could be converted, the smaller ones be converted. So,
Can the Emery Drive generator be moved to another location?
can be reused, yeah.
Reused, right? Okay.
Question, how long did it take New Jersey Natural Gas to get the gas line installed?
Probably
A
about
few lifetimes.
11 months, yeah, by the time they first.
Thank God they got it done.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. How long do you think it'll take us to get either new generators, gas fire?
Well, I think that's gonna be handled in-house. I think the arrangements on that were gonna be handled,
Okay, well, what's the time frame then?
Emery Drive obviously is different,
Right.
but,
The conversion we submitted for under the FEMA grant funding, so we have to play, we're on their schedule as far as getting that work completed, if we're interested in getting it reimbursed by the state/federal government.
Unbelievable.
Emery Drive Pump Station Force Main. We have we attended a pre-con with the township for on-site and off-site, all the work involved. We have our own pre-con tomorrow morning for combined on-site, off-site. There's 3 different contractors, one for the pump station, on-site pump station, one for the on-site sewers, and one for the force main. So we expect that's gonna be moving ahead within the next.
That's the Bam Hollow Inc.
They're breaking ground and moving a lot of dirt. I think it started this week, if not this week, next. Soil erosion was the only thing holding things up. Emery Drive Pump Station, with that, we've got a change order to extend the completion date, start date as well on this. Because of the funding issue, once again, the funding issue is holding a lot of these projects up.
Do we feel relatively confident that we will be getting that funding for
Yeah.
Emery Drive?
Yeah,
Okay.
I believe so. I
Yeah, every indication I've gotten from the 3 or 4 people I've talked to at the state.
Sometime this century?
Yeah, they're all,
Well, no, because this is only good for 1 year, this amount.
yeah, that should be sufficient.
Well,
From the,
isn't it kind of worded that
We gotta wait longer.
there's a
for that.
completion
That's
date,
a real
so
problem.
we move back to completion date,
Well, that's what's concerning.
essentially.
Yes, yes.
That we can't wait longer than a year. And if we're spending this money and we don't get the,
Well, we're not spending the money.
it's costing us more.
They're changing the amount of the contract,
Right,
cover the additional cost.
exactly.
In the end, we could just let the contract lapse, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, and what would that cost us?
Well, they have to
It's
rebid
gonna
it.
cost us something, because basically the contractor is
Right.
moving along with shop drawings and his whole
Right, right.
base.
Yeah.
So I don't think we would void the contract. I think the situation is that, you know, a decision will have to be made as to the funding. What's the
Right.
probability, but, you know, if we don't get it in another year, they've already had this thing since March 3rd.
Right.
Control building, we're prepared to recommend, we have recommended award to the one contractor that did the job. It's a tough job. There isn't a lot of, you know, interest in it, expertise in it, and it's a local outfit. And I think that basically the recommendation there is to award it rather than waste time with a rebid. Because I don't think the prices would come in much less.
Where is their expertise from? How come they have the expertise and no one else?
Well, it's not that. I think it's the size of the job.
No one wants the
more than
job,
anything else.
essentially.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is it just a dirty job or?
no,
No,
money.
small job.
Too small?
It's- Yeah, for any of the bigger outfits, yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot of work out there right now.
Okay, and you feel that that's a good price?
I feel that it's reasonable. I don't think it's a great price, but I think
Are
it's
you comfortable with it
Fine.
since no one else bid?
All right, but yeah,
By the time, if we were to go out to rebid it again, it's gonna cost us to rebid the thing, and the time delay, we'd rather get the thing done
Okay.
and be done with that.
Gotcha.
If anybody has any other questions?
oh, the funding. New Jersey EIT fund, where are we on that?
We're waiting.
I thought that was supposed to have been decided.
In May.
So did I. Now they push things back till, looks like September.
What year? What century? I mean,
So much for,
I am not a fan of bureaucracies out here that controls them.
Well, I think that you gotta find the money.
the money should be there, you know.
No, I think
it's
it's
not
not.
something that's.
It's been surprised.
Considering where the FEMA money is, they have to find the bundle.
Okay.
Okay, next is the resolution approving the change order number 1 time extension.
6514?
Yes.
Do you have a
Motion
motion?
approved.
So moved.
Do you have a second? Joe?
John Lee,
And who seconded it?
Charlie Rogers.
I will.
Do we have a ventriloquist in here?
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Apsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay, the next item is the award of contract to William Cole Construction for the control room floor.
They're the only bidder. And we need the floor fixed, no question about it. I make a motion to approve.
Do you have a second?
Second?
Okay, Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Apsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay, next item is the director's report. No lost time accidents during the month of June. All operations were conducted within permit guidelines during June. Basically, we had primary tank number 2, we took it out of service, repaired it, put it back online. The fine screens are repaired. We got the chains in, and we got the screens in, and that's all done. That came out good. On the financial side of things, revenue for the month was a little bit under, but we're still 1.4% over for the year. Expenses, we were over in May, and we're still a little bit over for the year, but only, 7% over so far for the year. The flow during June was 5.66 million gallons per day, which is less than May's number. We've sent all the information to the attorneys who are working with us on the coastal discharges, so we're done on our part. Let's see, nothing from FEMA this month, although there is activity. We've been watching it, but it hasn't resulted in a check yet.
At the pace of the activity you're seeing, will this be finished before my lifetime?
Can you tell us how long you're going
Tell
for?
us how well you're gonna live, we'll tell you.
I mean, if you see the pace that's going on,
Yeah.
you can probably project the end point. Where's the end point?
Well, these are the,
These are guesstimates, you know that.
yeah, well, this is the first set, basically the original, the 10 that we had worked on. And these take like 3 to 5 months to go through, and we're just in that process now. So, let's see, we've advertised twice for our 2006 collection vehicle, and we're gonna basically put that together with some other items and put it on the gov
We're
deals
gonna
again.
bundle it
Yeah, we'll bundle it, yeah.
and hope somebody will come and take it?
Well, no, not bundle it, it's just basically, the next thing for us to do is we could, basically, after you've advertised twice, you can actually just go out, advertise it, and take the best offer.
Locally.
Yeah, and then the next thing is you can use this gov deals if you want, and we have like a printer and a couple other things, so we just put all 3 items in there and let people
So-
bid on them.
Oh, they'll bid individually and not as
Individually,
a
yeah.
bundle?
No, not as a bundle,
Okay.
yeah.
And if no one bids again, then what do we do?
Whew, well, then, I guess we just take the best offer again.
Okay, take it to junkyard heaven?
No, I think, basically with no minimum or anything, we would just take our best offer.
It's got value, we just don't know
Yeah.
how much value it's.
It only has
Maybe by
value
the
if
pound,
somebody-
I
It
don't
only
know.
has value if someone wants it.
That's true. But by the pound, you know that's the rock bottom number.
Let's see, the service calls for the month were 29, 10 had blockages. Our lateral repair contract.
Right, back up on that, please.
Yeah.
The 2 odor complaints, can you
Yeah.
explain, talk a little more on that?
Odor complaints are difficult. I mean, basically, somebody smells an odor, you call up, send the truck out, and if they can smell something.
These from a pumping station or from
I-
basically a manhole?
Yeah, these were from manholes, they weren't from,
Okay.
yeah.
But we went out and we didn't confirm it, we confirmed it.
No, I don't think we confirmed these ones, no.
So we went out, we looked, and there was no, we went out, we smelled, and there was no odor.
Yeah.
You lift the manholes and there was no backup, or
Yeah,
the level
they'll-
was down and everything?
Yeah, they'll check it out. And it's the old thing with the noses, basically, if any of us can smell anything anymore. So, but the people making the complaints, they can smell all kinds
Well,
of stuff.
Well, it could have been a dead animal, it could have been anything.
Oh, yeah. No, we had, actually not an odor complaint, but we had one street where they were reporting water all over the place, and turned out to be a water line was broken.
Nice.
It's kind of broken over here and coming out over here, so. But we go out,
Always find the flows.
Is that the one where you had the 2, somebody complained about the water coming up out of the manholes?
no, that was another one, yeah. Let's see, as I say, Rock Solid's dig up contract is over, and the new one is now J. Fletcher Kramer. We have one dig up that we're probably gonna do with them, it's a real deep one, but we're not talking about it yet. Oswald is finished with last year's contract, and they're on for this year too.
So we doing another base of this year?
Well, this is basically the TV cleaning, and it has nothing to do with an I&I, but we are planning to do an I&I this year.
So TV cleaning and contract, what do they do?
Well, this is the one that in the beginning of the year, we pick out all the all the spots that we've historically had grease columns at.
Okay, so they go back,
They
so
go
they get a
out.
list.
Yeah,
This is not doing a basin, this is basically IDing spots.
right,
Okay,
right.
good.
Yeah, in addition to that, they do the Fairview wet well, they do that twice a year, things like that. Okay, we're continuing with basin 7 and 9, GPSing manholes. Personnel, we have, our new mechanic started July 2nd, he's working out fine. I went over and spoke with Ralph, who's on temporary disability, and he's supposed to tell us on August 17th which way he's going.
This is the one who the doctor has been
Yeah,
putting it off
Yeah,
and
he's just-
waiting to see.
yeah.
How old a man is he?
I think he's 38, yeah. He's in, yeah, you never, well, he looks like he's in great shape, and, but of course, you know, he's getting around with a cane and that kind of stuff, so, yeah.
He's gonna have a problem with Social Security only because they have well, it's not set in stone, it's like 59 is a cutoff point on Social Security disability. Due to his age, he will probably need an attorney, because if he wants to go out on disability, he's gonna need Social Security disability to basically complete his income stream.
But that's not our issue.
I know, but still,
Yeah.
it's definitely an issue.
I'm sure he'll.
I'm sure he's got it, whatever it is,
Work that through that.
you know, if he can't work, he can't work.
Yeah, we, let's see, we're in a position to recommend hiring the employee for the second shift operator position. And our chief mechanic, basically, he has his next operation date he gave us, which is, I think it's August 8th or 7th, that he's gonna get the work done, so he's gonna be out 4 to 6 weeks. But,
So, will we have enough manpower?
we basically, right now, even without Ralph, we have where we've been for the last couple of years. We have Jason, who was an extra position, and now we're
Okay, so
one
with
short.
Jason coming in, this works out perfect, because Jason is already on board, what, about a month and a half?
Well, July 2nd, yeah.
July, but at that time, it'll be about a month and a half.
Yeah, we're still one person short, but it's just kind of better than being 2 people short, yeah,
I would think so.
yeah.
What backup plans, contingencies do we have?
It's just a matter of everybody pitching in, you know,
More overtime.
Well, it depends on what the workload is.
yeah.
Well, if the workload stays stationary, then it's gotta be
What the
overtime.
extras are, that usually is what
Is
comes.
there such a thing as a temp?
Not really, no.
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 Not the chief mechanic.
No? You can't hire a chief
Yeah, that's-
mechanic?
they
No.
want to.
Not a secretarial job, thank
Well, I'm thinking with so many people out of work, maybe there's someone who would wanna come in and work on a,
It's
you
a
know,
specialty mechanic type job. It's not
you.
very-
You think the union's gonna let you do that?
Then you-
No, I wouldn't think so.
you just-
better than having Sewerage come in.
No, there's too many issues there.
All right. Worth a thought.
That's why you have emergency contracts. You have to go that way.
Yeah. This is the one you're talking about, Tom, the external contact. So Brian and I went out to a complaint by a customer with he said the manhole overflowed in his property during heavy rains. And basically, he called the DEP instead of calling us, so we got the call from the DEP to go out. And we responded, basically, we went in and put another 3-foot section cone on his lawn, put a waterproof cover, a watertight cover, and then landscaped it, so it looks good, actually.
Why was the manhole overflow?
Well, the crazy thing about this is that a number of years, he complained and they took the section off. And this time he complained and we went back and put it on. So,
Yeah, but the manhole is not in the flow, it's a junction of 2 pipes.
well, the truth is,
Is water flowing in and overflowing it, or? So
No.
therefore-
no, basically, let's see, it's at a point, hydraulically it's all right, it's a point where 3 pipes come together and go into one.
Right,
We didn't witness it, as far as it overflowing or anything. And we were wondering if it was groundwater coming up around the manhole.
That's what I'm
something like
saying.
that, yeah. But basically, at this point, if it, the manhole's not gonna overflow. None of the manholes in the area were overflowing either, just, he said just this one.
So we didn't witness it then?
No,
There was a manhole on his easement on his property.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he didn't want it, we took it out, he wants it, we put it in.
So, wait a minute, that manhole now is projecting how many feet above ground?
Well, at this point, it's only about 18 inches. We landscaped it, we
Okay.
covered it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just brings up another concern that I have. What do our rules and regulations say? I know it's prohibited to connect sump pumps and anything, you know, basically rainwater and water connected other than sanitary sewer system connecting to our system. What is the fine involved for that if somebody, homeowner or business connects?
Do you remember we went through this about,
Well, this brings it up
10
again, because
years
I'm
ago?
just wondering if some of that storm,
yeah,
the heavy rains, what's connected to it? Where is that rainwater coming from? It's not coming down a manhole, more than likely, it's.
We don't know.
we don't
But-
know.
Yeah, but what is the fine for an individual?
First we have to prove it,
Well, I understand
but
it,
we
but what
have to
is the
send
fine?
in smoke to make sure. And
The question is, what is the fine?
I don't believe there's a monetary fine.
Maybe we should have a $10,000 fine, that might get a lot of people to stop.
We got bigger problems than
I know, but that would stop it right like that.
Anyway.
well, we went that exercise already.
Don't like people making.
Nobody does.
Okay, let's see, our cost reduction achievements.
Anyway, okay.
Okay.
So,
Okay, cost reduction achievements, we're finally on the map. We finally had a saving. The sodium hypochlorite bid that we'll be talking about in a few minutes, if everything goes right.
just, some information, we keep on with bidding sodium hypochlorite.
Yeah,
The water company has moved over to a sodium chloroamine type of material, and that's different.
yeah.
Is there any relationship of why we're still on hypochlorite, or we shouldn't be moved, if that's okay, or?
All I know, basically, I know a lot of places have gotten away from chlorine altogether, and they're using ultraviolet, things like that.
Sure.
But,
I mean, the water companies that we use is sodium hypochlorite
yeah,
for umpty-dumpty years. They've all moved away from that
yeah,
to an amine solution, and the reason they're doing that
yeah,
is because it's a more longer lasting, there's a better disinfecting job.
yeah. Well, they have different priorities, you know, they're looking for something that lasts a long time in the sewers.
Okay.
And basically, you know, in the water treatment, they're gonna be, they don't wanna react with any of the organic precursors, you know, the trihalomethanes and all that stuff. So basically with us, we just want a quick kill and, you know, not much of a residual and out.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but since it's their water that's being used
yeah.
for the sewer system, for the wastewater treatment, will the sodium hypochlorite interact improperly with the other chemical?
No, the amine solution is a longer lasting, it doesn't go out of the water very fast. In fact, it doesn't at all.
So then
So
what we need is
chloride is
some-
a quick shot, and that, the activity curve goes down very quickly.
Then would we need as much sodium hypochlorite if that water?
No, then you have a problem with discharge and everything. I just
Yeah.
threw that as a statement, okay, just, there's a, and Ray, I think, explained the reasons, the fundamental differences why we're still on sodium hypochlorite. In fact, that's what you use in the swimming pool. Same stuff, only 12%.
Okay,
And then
anyway,
20 times more expensive.
Yeah.
at the according to the numbers, basically in a new bid, we could save up to $10,000 over the year, which would be nice.
Very good.
Let's see, the next, the active subdivisions, there has been quite a bit of activity. Red Hill Road, Kimber Petroleum up here, on the corner, the one that's, actually called 767 Main Street, so there's quite a bit of activity. And then, the planning board, there wasn't really, much changes on this. I think the Trinity High School went to, and denied in litigation, but that was about it. Yeah.
A comment here, you have 4 ponds,
Yeah,
that's not in litigation, it's not denied,
okay,
and that should be moved up.
okay.
That's been approved by the planning board, and it's there.
Okay. Let's see, the Fairview Force Main repair. Basically, we just do a very quick presentation, but we actually have one display board. Just that, this pipeline that we're talking about is a 20-inch diameter line. It's actually 1.5 miles long, runs along the railroad. I know in the last, probably the last 10 or 20 years, I think we're up to 5 different breaks that we've had on that line. On this one, basically on the evening of Thursday, June 19th, a New Jersey Transit crew was working on the side of the slope, basically just removing brush, and they, probably let the backhoe go down, hit our pipe, and of course we were blasting away. So basically it created a 5-foot crack in the line. Sewage was going about 20 feet in the air. The incident occurred at about 7:30. By 8 o'clock, the phone calls went around. One of our collection guys went right out there, took a look at it, called George, called myself, and we sent, basically Fran went to the site first. Fran sized it up and said that he thought that we could repair it with a clamp. So the rest, a lot of the evening, basically after that, then what happens is you go out, we tried to reduce all the flow we could to the pump station. We had to turn the flow off, drain the pipe back to the pump station. We shut off Emery Drive and Jumper Brook pump stations, and basically the idea was to empty the pipe, reduce the pressure, get the clamp on there and stop it. So the clamp we had was a 3-foot clamp. The gash was like 5 feet, but enough rags and everything plugged the pipe. So by 1 o'clock in the morning, it was stopped. So it was a temporary repair. Then the next morning, everybody mobilized, because what happens is once you have the pipe is empty, okay, and you're actually gonna physically cut that pipe in 2 sections, take out the damaged part, and put a new part in. So while that pipe is cut, you're completely exposed. So what you have to do is fill up tanker trucks with sewage, 5,000 gallons at a time, so you need a lot of trucks. And you have to bring them basically to the end of the pipe, put them in the manhole, let it flow down to the plant. So we had this whole thing going on, you're organizing it with the police and the tankers and everything else. And we were talking to New Jersey Transit, their crew, and as everybody was talking to them, it kind of became evident that these guys weren't going to be able to do this. So we just stopped everything.
When you say we weren't going to be able, you're
Yeah.
saying they didn't have the experience and expertise?
Yeah, they really didn't know how to do a job.
They're in there for brush, and pipes and not brush.
Yeah,
But they didn't send any responsible people who would know how to fix this?
right,
Okay.
right. So basically by about noon, 1 o'clock, George shut the job down, that was it. So we had the temporary repair, we were okay. And then Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, we did the whole job. We had a good contractor, we had the tanker trucks, we had the police, and everything worked. So basically, that part of it was good. And then the next thing, now basically we're getting in all the bills, and we're going back to New Jersey Transit with the bills. At this point, we have about $40,000 worth of bills, which should be it, but we'll see what else comes in.
Ray, we talked about an incident report. I asked Rich. He's going to prepare one. And I think that's a good idea to put into place. I mean, this is fabulous what you did, thank you. But I'd like an incident report so that we can sign off on it, they can sign off. You know, a little bit more protection for Township.
Some additional item of this. I don't know, some of you may not be aware of it, but I think, well, when I came on the board 4 or 5 years ago, there was a project going on where we going to put a transfer point at the Fairways pumping station where we could basically transfer material from that pumping station directly to the plant in tanker trucks. In case something like this would ever occur, we can shut down the lines and still keep the upstream stuff flowing. This is the first time we've really used this. It came in very handy. It saved us a hell of a lot of grief, because if we didn't have this, how would we have shut up down the line long enough so we can replace that pipe? And that's one of the, now the other question I have, are there any other pumping stations potentially in a similar situation where we could put in a bypass? And bypasses is not a pipe. Bypass are basically valves and connections so we can put them to tanker trucks.
Yeah.
Are there any other locations that are basically at the, with a forced main? Usually you do this with a forced main because of the volume of material going through. Are there any other locations?
Yeah.
That's our only one I know.
Yeah.
We have this.
Yeah, we've actually gone through each pump station and identified the ones with physical bypasses and don't have bypasses, and but I couldn't give them to you off the top of my head right
So
now.
that's something we need to look at, because this is not the only line that is exposed.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the one along the Neversink.
The problem
another
is not
exposed line.
the problem is not bypassing the pump stations, it's the force mains.
Right, right.
Yeah.
To take up the material from the force main and moving it on,
Yeah.
no question about it.
Yeah, making sure that a tanker truck can get in there.
Well, we've done that, that was a big job, that was a project in itself,
Yeah.
but it worked.
Yeah.
With, Blue
But I think
Creek.
your question is good. What other force main and pump station?
The other question is, the pipe was ductile iron. Is there something with ductile iron on the property of that ductile iron pipe that if they strike it, it just shatters?
Yeah, I think the new pipe is ductile iron, the old one.
And the old one was ductile.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah. So is that characteristic of that type of material, or?
No.
No.
Because that got struck and it just shattered essentially.
Yeah.
Got hit hard.
There's been a couple problems with that. We had the DIPRA, the Ductile Iron Pipe Research Association, come out and did a test on the other piece that was broken. Their explanation at that time was that it was damaged during installation. You know, this ductile is less susceptible to that than what cast iron would be,
Okay.
because it's treated.
Yeah.
But, you know, depends on how hard they hit it. They obviously hit it pretty hard.
Yeah, but they hit it only one point, and that's a 5-foot split.
Oh, yeah, it's split longitude.
That's a big backhoe.
How deep was that pipe?
Probably went right through it, right?
That's just like.
They didn't go through it, they just hit it, and it shattered kind of.
If you see the pictures, the slope there is very,
Yeah.
Mhm.
there was a fill in there years ago. New Jersey Transit came in, you could see where they dropped fill from the top,
Yeah.
because they were losing the track, I believe. Luckily, with what we had them do here is they left the permanent, they left the sheeting in.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that'll hold them up.
Yeah.
The other question I have, is there any value in putting markers on pressurized lines, like, you know, indicating that what's there? So even if they don't do a line out, if they can halfway read, they can say something's there.
Like the gas company does?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably wouldn't hurt.
In some of those other locations,
Yeah.
every once in a while, you know, we
Find the exact
anticipate that.
location. At least we got the exact location here now. Part of the problem with this whole thing was that I think, or speculation is, that they may have built up the level, the elevation in the pond. through the work that the county did years ago.
Yeah.
Because their culvert underneath the tracks was really, you know,
Shallow.
mucked up and, you know, that's what they were cleaning, both sides. Because the east side of the tracks, the water level had built up so high over there,
Right.
you know, that it wasn't getting through and it wasn't draining. And that's what they were working on this whole thing.
Well, if they had called one call, none of this would have happened, correct?
I'm not so sure about that.
I-
But that's on their easement.
yeah, but-
Is that something that
No.
you could mark
It's
out?
not their easement.
Mops's.
Well, it's our easement, but it's their property.
No, it isn't their property.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Uh,
I don't think their right of way goes there.
But if they had called,
If
it
they
would have been
called,
marked
they would-
out.
Yeah, but they're just clean brush, that's not no big job.
Well,
When they
No
use the
big job.
backhoe, it's just-
Well, I just raised the point of putting markers on some of these lines periodically
The
to,
thing is, originally they
Protect
weren't
us.
digging, so they're not gonna one call for a mark out, because they're cutting grass and shrubs.
well, they were digging with a backhoe.
They would dig.
Yeah, well, then they should have cut, then they should have called.
They were digging.
They would dig, no question, they were ripping this stuff
They
up.
were exposing the coal.
Yeah, of course they were.
absolutely.
They
No
were
question
just
about
clearing
that.
brush.
Yeah, that's just, anyway,
Over and done.
move on, work out.
Okay,
Oh,
next
yeah,
is
money.
the entranceway modifications. I gave out, there's two new sheets showing an entranceway, called A and B. And then, you know, I had also given out a sheet with a sort of a proposed view of an entranceway, an existing entranceway. And then, basically, what it comes down to, anything that we do would have a ramp. That would be in each of the designs. The first design, the simplest design, would be, we would be required to take one of our two entry doors off. So you would only have one door when you come into the building. Now, the cost of that would be in a vicinity of $30,000 to $35,000. And then, if we wanted a second door, basically for purposes of wind and things like that in the winter when you open the door, if we wanted a second area, a vestibule or something, we would basically eat into the lobby a little bit, but something like that would cost more in the vicinity of $40,000. And then if you went deluxe, you know, which would be the brand new entranceway with two doors, you'd be up over $100,000. So,
Yeah, I saw those prices, and my first thought was, we like to do this, we need to do this, but we need to spend $100,000. And I guess John Gandolf is going to look into see if we can get any grant money for it. Because that might make a difference in what we're doing, if we get some grant money.
Now, in either view, are they going to take down that antenna tower?
just if we put the double doors up, otherwise it can stay.
The issue with a single door though is, if you have a pressure difference between the two, those doors can swing open. You know, from outside to inside, especially on the stormy, you have, pressure's changing. And being in that tight area being in there could be quite an experience. So you need to think about that.
Well, if they just put in the handicap ramp,
Yeah, but it's gotta go
Platform isn't
into an
wide enough.
entrance,
The
though.
platform isn't wide enough, that's why
Yeah.
we have to change
Yeah.
the doorway.
Let's go off the side, but there's a door issue and right now you have a ramp going right into the front end of the vestibule and that's, I assume the ramp is not covered,
No,
so you have an open area in there, that's.
Why can't you just put a door off and widen it on the side, put a door off to the side and make it an electric door? If you hit the button, you don't have any pressure issues that way. And just have a ramp coming straight down to the sidewalk. It's a lot less work, it'd be a lot cheaper.
Certain slopes required.
The slope is too
Slope.
too steep.
Can't do it. Throw it off on the side.
Yeah, we don't have enough room.
Yeah, it's a slope issue. There's certain minimum requirements, and you gotta work with those
That's a low door,
requirements.
how back can the slope be?
Whatever it is, it has to be ADA compliant.
Yeah, but that doesn't, you can make a slope anything there, it's all how, where you put the,
Where you
Well,
say
it
where
goes
you
out in the parking
started.
lot, that's an issue.
The other way is to put it out in the parking lot and then build something like an island,
Yeah,
so to speak.
And then you're gonna have stairs getting up there.
that's right.
Right.
You need both, really, not just a ramp.
Well, I'd like to maybe look at this a little bit more, have
Right.
everyone come up with maybe some more ideas as to see how we can apply the.
What's the time frame though to get this done? It needs to be done.
We
It
will
needs to
do
be
it.
done, and
It's
it
on
will
our
along the way.
plan,
yeah, right?
as long as it's on our plan, and we'll see what we can get for
I can
grant.
check on the grants, but I'm not optimistic with regard to that. As I pointed out, I think it's more geared towards municipalities than.
How is the YMCA, you gotta imagine it's still.
We can check on it. But, and as far as the
Yeah,
layouts
me
are
neither.
concerned, this is kind of been beaten to death
Mhm.
by the architect. Come up with Ray and sat down several times on this thing. You know, we thought about back entrances and, you know, there's restrictions there.
Right.
You know, when it's open to the public, it's gotta be, balanced.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Where is it?
Okay, the next item is a hiring resolution. Hiring Robert Seymour as a probationary employee, effective today, actually, at a rate of $18.90 an hour. We've done all the background checks, everything came back clean, and basically ready to offer him the position.
And that position is,
Operator on the second shift.
So when does he actually start?
He could start tomorrow morning.
Or doesn't he have to give notice where he's currently
No,
working?
I've spoken with him already, and he more or less gave notice.
Oh, he did, okay, good, great,
Yeah.
better for us.
You work it out.
Okay. Need a motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
Thank
I would
you.
recommend that it be changed to include the title of operator second shift. Just to make it,
Well, do you send a letter out?
Yeah, we do.
So it'll be in the letter.
yeah, but I think the resolution should say.
Well, he's an operator, right now, the job opening is in the second shift, an operator. That doesn't mean 2 years from now, he's not gonna move around elsewhere.
It spelled it out in the beginning when we reached out to hire, that that's what we were looking for.
That's right.
So, what more do you need?
Who
Part of
seconded
the
that,
record.
because you all,
Did Charlie second that, or did you?
No, Charlie said.
Charlie.
The next item
okay,
is,
I need,
okay.
Mr. Rogers,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik,
Yes.
Mrs. Bell.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is, has to do with pollution liability insurance. I asked Peter Soriero, our risk manager, to speak. Actually, if you have any questions, which I know there are questions, so.
Well, how did this come about? Before he steps up, this guy somehow got into the agenda, how did it come
Yeah,
about?
basically, I think that, I'd say like the last 5 or 6 subdivision projects, we've been approached many times about the expense of this and dropping it and, you know, pestering us, but nobody else has it, and we've always required them to have it, nobody's been waived, but we basically brought it up for discussion. We went back into the history, we looked at it, this came about in 2012, was added to the rules and regs. No one seems to have any idea of where it came from. I called Pat, nobody seems to remember, but basically, we were talking among ourselves about whether this contained benefits, it didn't contain benefits, and we basically elevated it to the point of bringing it up for discussion, and
I think it may have come out of capital projects, larger capital projects. It may have been a requirement of NJEIT. For instance, the improvement project, the big improvement project. And it's different in that case. I mean, when you're talking about $5,000 policy for a project that's 15 months, you know, it's a lot different than a lateral connection or whatever. It's prohibitive.
Okay.
Because I think the minimum time that you get it is for a year, and it just is not worth the expense.
Okay, I think what we should do is let Mr. Severio give us his presentation.
Well, not much of a presentation today, but I'll answer your questions. I guess a month or so ago, I met with Ray and his staff to discuss what the coverage means to the authority. What are the ramifications if you don't require it? And basically, it's my understanding that this is insurance that is required by a developer or contractor that's doing a project on private property that will be connecting to your system. So as we discussed that a little further and kind of dug down into the necessity of the insurance, it was my opinion that there's really no benefit to the authority for requiring these contract developers to have it. It is on private property. If there was some type of pollution issue, it's going to be an issue for the private property owner. There's no real exposure to the authority if these issues occur on private property. So wasn't my suggestion that you should waive it. It was my opinion that there's real no exposure to the authority if you do want to waive the requirements.
So if we dismiss this and permit them to build without insurance, and something goes wrong and the builder goes belly up, who's liable then?
It would still be the property owner. The pollution liability always goes back to that property owner or any other past property owners that might have had some, the pollution was there for quite some time. Any prior property owners would be held liable to clean it up.
But what if the issue occurs in a location where it's no longer on private property, it's part of the public right of way? It's a whole combined, system, because the lateral goes into the public right of way somewhere.
Well, again, it's not about where the flow is going, it's about where the construction is actually taking place.
Well, construction will be in both places.
Right. Well,
It's got to connect up, so.
Well, the point then, if the construction's being, taking place in the public right of way, then it's not the private property owner anymore, it's the township or the county may own that property, so it's still not authority property.
I think
Or
the
it's our
issue,
right of
well,
way.
wait a minute, I think the issue here also is that he's putting in a connection for development, for single lateral, whatever it is. And it goes, the connection typically has got to go from private property over into public right of way to pick it up in our line, our 8-inch line.
Mhm.
So if something happens, there's a trench there, and then clearly, if there's gonna be pollution, and pollution's gonna come from the gravity-fed line, not from his house, because they're all dry. He's just making an initial connection. So that's where the problem's gonna be, most likely.
Okay. You actually were talking about two different situations. We're talking about an environmental impairment, then you're talking about pollution discharge, is that what you're speaking about?
Well,
Pollution discharge.
He's violating our line to get his connection in,
Right.
okay? And if somewhere, for some reason, something happens there,
Well,
it's
but that
gonna
can
come
happen,
out of that line.
but that can happen to any private property owner, not just someone who's doing a
Right, but
construction
the
project.
actual point
Right.
is coming in the public right of way.
No, I understand that, but every property that's connected to your system is going into the public right of way at some point.
Sure.
Right, so the difference is, so in that scenario, then you have to ask every single property owner to put up this insurance.
Yeah, but-
Because of the same exposure to the authority.
Yeah, but if they're doing work, then it's different.
Again, the work being done, actual construction work being done on private property is the private property owner's responsibility. Now, it's different if you hire the contractor to work on authority property, which I'm pretty sure we're required to carry this type of coverage if it's on actual authority property.
Well, it won't be authority, it'll be public right of way type of stuff.
Yeah.
I
My
don't think we own
concern is, do we want to take on any responsibility at all that could increase our expenses and the ratepayers' expenses because a builder came in, a builder for profit, came in, something happened, they don't have the insurance,
Mhm.
then they look to us, and we have to look to JIF, why do we want to
Well,
assume that
Well, when
responsibility?
you say, they are looking to us, if it's on private property, who would that they be? It wouldn't, it's on private,
The right-of-way is our pipe,
right.
and if our pipe breaks and causes a pollution,
Then it's off, then we have coverage for that. We have coverage under the JIF for pollution discharge. That's part of the we call it the EGIF, it's part of your JIF coverage that you're already paying for. So again, I was my understanding, we're talking specifically about projects being done on private property, right? Is that? Yeah. Not about anything in the public right of ways, just about construction work on private
Does
property.
this benefit us in any way?
You know, it's extra insurance. The problem is we went through all types of scenarios and couldn't come up with one that the authority would be in jeopardy if you didn't have it. Okay, it's whether, if they had it and something happens, it really doesn't make any difference because again, if it's on private property, it's not going to involve the authority. So it's not, I guess, sometimes we call it sleep insurance. If you're more comfortable requirement to have it, in case a problem ever occurs and you feel more comfortable having that, that's fine. But again, they asked me to comment on if there would be any exposure to the authority if you were to waive it. In my opinion, that there would not be for projects occurring on private property. And that's what we.
I mean, we
we're
put
very
it into
specific.
our rules and regs, I'm sure we put it in for a reason.
Well, we were trying to figure out
Reason was
how it got in there. It's only been there a couple of
2
years.
years.
And we're trying to figure out how it got in there originally, and we weren't able to.
I had to have involved, or somebody.
But Ray contacted him
Well, he did revamped the rules and regs.
and not very much.
Okay, well,
We
they got in
we
though.
looked at them, but there were a lot of other things that,
Well, I'm just thinking it didn't appear out of nowhere, it appeared for a reason. We all agreed to it, and by pulling it back, I'm very concerned that we are now exposing our
Would it
rate.
help if I contacted some of the other sewer authorities and utility authorities in the area to see if they have same type of regulations, or if they discussed why they chose to have it, why they chose not to? I'd be more than happy to do that.
You can certainly bring that up, but if we're more diligent, and I don't want to use that word, than
Right.
another authority, my main focus is to protect Thompson and our ratepayers. So
Or,
that's,
there's no cost to the authority to require these people to have it.
exactly, exactly.
it's prohibitive, it really is prohibitive. I
Yeah.
mean,
But
you're starting to
there
get
is-
into a situation here where, and, you know, I wanna protect the authority, but $1 million for a sewer
How many?
backup?
What does
how
that
many-
cost the ratepayer or the homeowner of private property? What is that costing him to do his job?
To do what job?
If he's gonna do work on his property,
Yeah,
he's gotta buy that insurance?
$4,000 or $5,000.
Okay, do we know of any
It
jobs?
doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
If we don't need it, it doesn't make sense to force somebody to pay that kind of money.
Okay, let me ask you this, how many jobs have been out there on private property that they did not build because of this insurance? Have there been any jobs out there that they said, oh, this $5,000
Well,
is
you've
prohibitive and I'm
got
not
a
going?
lot of, it's new, so there haven't been that many big jobs recently, or small jobs
Well,
that have
I would
required.
say the bigger jobs are probably not a problem, because the
Right.
big developers, big construction companies, they carry this type of insurance
Yeah.
anyway for all their jobs. I think the problem is the smaller construction companies, maybe the person building a
Collateral. I
couple
mean,
of
you know,
different,
when
you
you're
know, two or
putting
three
in one
houses.
pipe, the only point of connection for the sewer system to back up is the actual connection into the pipe. I mean, it's clean pipe, they're digging a trench, there's no pollution coming from a house.
Yes, the house is dry.
Yeah. So, I mean.
But the issue here is when they violate our pipe, they put the connection in.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, it was put into our rules and regs, it had to be put in for some reason. And we need to find out what the reason was, because it didn't just come out of thin air.
I have a problem with a single house being loaded with $4,000 or $5,000 insurance policy.
okay,
I don't have a problem with a certain size of development.
I
Where do you
agree.
draw the line?
I
So how do we,
I mean, if
how
you're
do we
doing- if you're
revise
doing,
that to distinguish
you know,
it?
an on-site sewer.
We actually talked about it at our little meeting, and Rich Leahy and I think somebody from your office might, they had a little bit of an issue with it, where, how do you draw those specs, and where do you draw the line, and, you know, who's to say what's a small job, what's a large job, what's, you know, they were a little concerned about how you
Well,
codify
creating a
that.
single house connection is a problem. It's-
But then where do you draw the line, is
Yeah.
it two-family, or?
It's not required for a single house. Basically, with us, a subdivision is two houses. And that's it, you're either a single house or a subdivision.
Okay.
There's no.
So, but it's not required for a single house.
And it's not required for a lateral to a single house. So what's the difference between that and a lateral to 4 units?
Well, because then the cost comes down, because if I'm dividing $5,000
There's
over
12.
5 houses, I'm only talking about $1,000 more on a property. And I just,
The other thing, here's the question I have, where's the rest of this? Where is we have item 5, but where is it applying to? We don't have that here. I think for us to even discuss this, we need that whole section to see what is it applying to. Now we're finding out it doesn't apply to a single-family house. It applies only to subdivisions. Okay, well, that should be in here. If we want to do something, we need the whole information.
The other
Okay, and
issue is-
I draw, I kind of, if we have it in there, it is in there for a reason. And I don't think it should be pulled away. You're saying we have pollution liability insurance.
For a discharge, correct.
Okay, for a discharge. We just had an incident that was reported on, New Jersey Transit, smacked our thing. Now, if there was private property involved that it were flowed onto, now, obviously, New Jersey Transit has deeper pockets, and they probably have their own insurance, but now there's an interesting case where, yeah, you did have a pollution overflow because the pipe blew. Okay, and if somebody causes it, it has to go back to them. Builder, bankruptcy, oh, Thompson. Let Thompson do it. Now, here's my concern. We have this in there. We have a vote of the board and we decide as a board, oh, we don't need that anymore. Next year, something happens. JIF turns around and says, well, no, we're not gonna get involved, or they're gonna raise our rates because we have an incident. That does happen. You also have a problem that the directors and officers liability that protects each and every paid member of this commission, because we are making decisions. We make a decision that's incorrect, we could be held responsible. And by taking a vote and removing something that we've already had in there, we could be opening up ourselves to the insurance company saying, on our D&O exposure, well, excuse me, but you committed misfeasance or malfeasance by doing this, we're not covering you. You pay that lawsuit out of your pocket. And we can't use surplus funds, as one commissioner way back about 25 years ago suggested we could do, and he was told in no uncertain terms I'd be the first one lining up to stop him from even touching those surplus funds. No, this was put in there for a reason, unless we can be given a damn good reason that will not expose each and every board member to a misfeasance and malfeasance and culpability for taking this out to protect the profits of a for-profit business. We're crazy. We can't do that. Now, especially, it doesn't affect single-family homes, okay? That's why I think we should have had all that information in here so it could be properly discussed. But as it is, there's no way I can support, and I would oppose any removal of this.
Okay, thank you.
Where did $1 million come from?
You're looking at this, I have no idea where this is.
$1 million is kind of like a catchphrase for most insurances. Now it's because we're in New Jersey now, people, they're leaning towards more towards $2 million in these types of coverages. Your general liabilities, your automobile liabilities. $1 million, not that it's arbitrary, but that's always been kind of the catchphrase of insurance coverage over the years, $1 million. You know, 25 years ago, $1 million sounded like a lot of money. You know, it's not really a lot of money anymore, so that's why I've been raising it.
I'm just concerned about putting our ratepayers at risk by removing that. And unless I know for a good reason why it was put in, why it should be taken out.
And again, it's no cost to the town, to the authority to leave it
To
in.
leave it in.
And you're not
And it
paying
is a
extra,
profit.
we're not
If
paying
you're
for the
talking about
insurance at all.
developers who are making a profit, why would I wanna put my ratepayers at risk? That's my thought.
Yeah.
What's the board's pleasure?
I don't think we have enough information to go either way.
Okay, so we want to table it?
You have to carry this one.
Okay, we'll
I think
carry
we
it.
just let Mr. Sariano reach out and see what other sewer authorities
I'll be more than
are
happy
doing.
to
and
do
let's-
that, just for, you know,
Find
just for
out.
your further information, you know,
Okay.
to find what.
See if we can find one that does have
We
a
gotta deal
similar
with
thing.
tonight,
I will.
so.
All right, why don't we check
And what
with
direction
a,
also.
check with a authority, environmental authorities.
Mhm. I'll actually check with JIF because, you know, they insure probably 60 some odd authorities
Right.
throughout the state. So they may have some information on also. I'll
And do
do
they have
that.
information on as to why it's there and why it wouldn't be there?
Again, what I'll do is I'll ask the director of the JIF to give me some contact people for authorities, probably around the same size, the same demographics as our area. And I'll contact them directly, see if they have the regulation, if they have it, why they decided to have it, or maybe they discussed it and decide not to have it. So I'll get a little, you know, bit of information from different sides.
Okay, that's good, thank you. I'm, again, just very leery of doing anything to cause any added expense for our ratepayers when we're not benefiting. There's no benefit to us.
Amen.
I make motion to carry resolution 6814 to the next meeting.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, next is
You
the,
want,
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I gotta think about it.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Dempsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
okay, next is the award of contract for the sodium hypochlorite bid. The lowest bid was JCI Jones Chemicals, and this year, the number's 71.7178, and this is down to 0.67, so we're a bit lower on both years for a 2-year contract.
I just always find it amazing how this company from New York can do it less expensive than this company from Farmingdale, which is around the corner for almost double the price. That's my
And
thought.
just transport alone.
Yeah.
It's quantity, it's, you know,
They don't need to work.
margins, no, it's not a work, it's, how much profit do you wanna make on it?
They make zero profit if they get a zero sale.
Okay, so, right,
And any questions, just need a motion?
Motion approved.
Second.
okay, so we have a motion to approve J.C. Jones Chemicals.
Yeah. Second.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yep.
Mrs. Dempsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is the group affidavit. This has to do with the audit that was presented last month, and it's just basically everybody has to sign off that they read it, and especially a couple sections, general comments and recommendations. So first is a resolution, and then after the meeting, I'll go around and collect signatures.
Okay. Who wants to move it?
I'll move it.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Dempsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, the next is the resolution for a special counsel.
Okay, we're going to carry that either a special meeting or till next month.
Okay,
Does it need to be carried over, or can we turn around and just correct the name?
I
No,
know we
gonna
can
carry.
carry it.
okay, let's see, the next one is this is the treatment of works approval. Back in March, we okayed this, that myself and Brian Richmond could sign the form. We called it the CP1 form. It's been changed, now it's a TWA1, WQM3, and 6. So we figured before basically we made a mistake, we would just do it with the new form names.
Okay.
So-
Okay.
Just point to order, on that 7115, shouldn't you have a motion to carry it over? since
Do you need a motion to carry? Okay.
I would recommend that.
All right, you want, whose motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay, next item is the construction fund analysis. The construction,
No, 7214 now.
Yeah.
Motion and,
You need a
That was,
motion,
the motion was to carry 7114.
oh, okay.
we need a motion.
So this is for the, back for the TWA?
Yes,
Yeah.
7214.
Okay, we need a motion and a second.
Have a motion, please?
Make a motion.
Have a second? This side of the room is very quiet.
Second.
I've got Joan over here.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith? Yes. Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsey?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next is the construction fund analysis. Basically, if you look at this, the construction bills paid this meeting is a very large figure, and that's because it includes the bond payment, the bond. So, once we begin to replenish that again, we won't be in as low as we show here. But, you know, basically the numbers for this month, you know, we'll go down now, the control room repair, we'll go over to the other column, and, so we're basically.
Don't go over, it's down to $50,000, don't go over, it's $100,000,
It's doubled, yeah.
essentially.
That's not a savings.
Yeah,
No.
but, we're basically, we're committed with a lot of funds
Right.
at this point. Next is the budget analysis. At the end of May, the number should be 42% or under. And, we're tracking a few things a little bit higher. The maintenance reserve is up to 48. But this is back, these numbers are 2 months behind. That's the way it is. So this is the end of May. Next item is the staff engineer's report.
Earlier this month, I attended a meeting with DEP's Division of Water Quality, what they call the Division of Water Quality Wastewater subsector update session. Basically, it's a gathering of water and wastewater treatment plant operators to go over issues such as security, asset management, emergency response, preparedness and resiliency, and basically to give DEP feedback on programs that they might be rolling out into the future, kind of like a stakeholders meeting.
Did anybody raise the point of how about first coming to the plate on programs you've already rolled out? And not delaying it at 4, 5, 6, 8 months once it's out?
Well, they're just as wishy-washy on the programs they're thinking about as those that they think they've been.
We're already walking in deep sludge, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody
Makes
is.
your hip move tired.
I had to get that in.
We've worked with Mazer to select a GPS unit for our collections department to further augment the GIS program we have and collect more data. As John had mentioned, the gas services for 3 of the stations pump stations have been installed. There's 2 services that are still outstanding. Sodium hypochlorite bids were opened and we just passed a resolution to that. We had a kickoff meeting on the new communication system for the pump stations. It's estimated to be a significant cost savings dropping the bill, the communications bill, from about $3,500 to a month to a fraction of that.
Are these systems at the pump station, are they gonna be battery backed up or I know there's a generator there,
Yeah,
but there should be a battery transfer type arrangement.
I'm not sure if they have a battery.
So otherwise you go down and then you come back up and then you have to reacquire here and
Yeah,
took
there's
them
a-
many minutes, maybe 5 minutes to come back.
There's a battery to
Okay,
catch it
just
between
to bridge
the
it.
facility and
How often does the battery need to be changed?
2 years.
2 years.
Well, we'll have a discussion on that.
Responded to the Fairview Force Main break, was on inspection, just coordinating between the pump station and outside, and conversations with New Jersey Transit, and getting them, gathering the information they need to reimburse us.
Do you get any sense that they're resistant to taking responsibility, or are they working fine?
They aren't forthcoming with information as far as, they're not upfront with information. We said, this is Abby, we're gonna proceed, we expect reimbursement.
Well, we haven't put it in.
And we sent them a letter with a breakdown of the cost of contractors' invoices. There's gonna be another follow-up letter, because there's still more invoices that still have to be submitted by the contractors.
All our overtime, mileage on our vehicles,
Yep, vehicles.
The whole thing.
Good equipment.
Everything.
But we haven't, in essence, we have not gotten a response back from them.
Nothing in writing.
Do you get any sense?
I don't think they have they shouldn't have a problem with it. I went through the state law, and there's a whole section on the New Jersey one-call system, and it's clearly written in there, if you don't have a markout number and you break an underground utility, then you're on the hook for exactly what we're going under,
Okay.
or we're going for.
Okay, but sometimes you can get a feeling for where you think they're coming from.
Yeah, no, I mean, they haven't offered any rebuttal or things like that. They,
Okay.
when I speak to
So
them.
there hasn't been any pushback?
No, when I speak to them, there hasn't been any pushback.
But they haven't made any, you haven't got a warm feeling that they're gonna respond in the near future.
I think they'll be better than FEMA and the state.
I would hope so.
You haven't said a single thing.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, moving along.
We'll put the broken pipe on the tracks and see what
The Emery Drive pump station grant application, that's what's holding up our pump station improvements project. It was resubmitted in early June, if you remember. The last status, that the beginning of last week, was that the application was under active review. They expect to have comments back to us by the end of this month with response required within 14 days, with once our comments are issued. And a rough estimate is October or November for approval to extend the funds, but as we all know, nothing's written, so.
That's what they said a long time ago.
We still have a $453,000 in reimbursement requests. As Ray mentioned before, there's progress on them, but not the true progress of mailing out the check. We submitted the insurance claim for the fine screen. It's going to be about between $45,000 and $50,000 for parts and materials. We've had a continued issue with a restaurant for excessive grease discharges and causing
Yeah, I don't like.
trouble in the collection system. We warned them verbally multiple times at the restaurant. We wrote them a letter earlier this year and told them to do the proper maintenance on their grease trap and control their discharge. We found another instance 2 months later where there's excessive grease, so we sent an extra $1,000 assessment for the over and above cleaning that's needed.
And they haven't responded.
No.
So what's our next step?
Okay, can I have just one question? What's the name of the restaurant? Why is that left off here?
No, let's stay out of that.
Why?
No. What's the next order of recourse? Where do we go?
Their bill went out for $1,000 plus their normal fee for sewer
Right.
usage
Okay, but Rich
earlier
is
this
not
month.
here, and so we need to ask Rich.
Well,
Yes.
what if they don't pay?
Put a lien on
And
that.
then at the end of the year, they're ripe for a lien.
Well,
They're-
as I understand it, it goes, if they don't pay, it will go to lien.
Right, but I
Rather than
think
Superior Court.
I think we need
Summons.
to ask Rich that, Emil.
Well, if it goes to lien, I mean, I guess it could go to court, but typically what happens is somebody buys a lien, we get our money.
That's right. Okay, so we have to wait till the end of the year.
Are we charging them interest?
Let's check with Rich, let's make
Yeah, I
sure.
think we really need
Anyway.
to wait for Rich. That's my question to him.
We've got the, some.
But I agree with the interest.
I think there is a clause in the rules of
Oh,
regs
18%.
for, it's, yeah, 1.5% per month.
Make sure they're notified of that.
Send him a letter.
Yeah, well, we're gonna keep an eye out on things and if they.
What would a restaurant do you know, you said above and beyond, I'm just curious, what would they,
Yeah,
their grease trap, they just have to maintain their grease traps? What would
and they have to have properly sized grease traps.
So this restaurant did not, basically?
Well, they have what's considered under the sink grease traps, which for the type of cooking and the type
So
of
it's a
facility
Chinese
they are.
restaurant? Is there a Chinese restaurant?
Asian food, yeah. And,
Okay.
and, you know, if they cleaned them regularly, it would definitely help. If they put in a bigger grease trap and cleaned it regularly, that would be the best.
There's dumping there,
There's,
stuff right down.
from what I've been told, there's one sink with an open pipe at the end of it. They put a colander at the end of the pipe. And there's
So
a
how
floor
is that
drain
even
at the-
sanitary?
I've talked to the building department and the health department in town, and they say there's nothing they can do. And the plumbing.
There's nothing they can do with an open pipe in your cup. You've got to be kidding me. That's.
So that's why we pursued those,
We're worried about our problem.
we pursued those avenues, and then we've gotten to this one.
Okay, that's
Find
interesting,
out.
okay.
Well, there was some routine cleaning going on in the sewer main in front of their establishment. Collections department popped open the manhole just upstream of their
And there it was.
facility, and there was, there was sewage almost ready to overflow into the street. So they cleaned the line, TV, they cleaned the line, and that's who they found, electric
Culprit.
grease.
Okay,
Fine.
great.
Pollution.
With the numbers there, and there's a process here.
Mhm.
We have the monthly sewage flows from the boroughs of Highlands and Atlantic Highlands. Their flows were between 75% and 80% of their proposed flow. And then administratively, we have the new phone system substantially complete. The conference, the specific conference phone is over there on the desk. There's still a few items that need to be addressed. The land-based switchover from Verizon to Comcast was scheduled for last week, it's been pushed to next week. We have 3 proposals for scanning documents here for archiving purposes. We have to do some housework here to prepare those documents to ship off to them.
And how about databases? We're gonna is that included, or this is just the?
They're basically
Scanning
gonna
stuff.
convert it to a PDF, and then we're gonna link it into the GIS program. So the GIS program's gonna act as our database, so they'll be geographically linked to
But
the.
we also have a backup on the GIS stuff, right?
Yeah, well, that's hosted offsite through Mazer.
Okay, so there's an offsite backup of that.
Yeah.
So in essence, everything will be backed up.
Yeah. And then as far as, we've also established an offsite backup of our server here.
That's right, good.
And that's been running for about the last week and a half, 2 weeks.
How's it working?
Beautiful. I just had a little training on it this morning.
Excellent,
And that's it for me.
Brian, I have a quick question from a lawyer's perspective. And it's bothering me, and it's probably bothering everybody sitting next to me. So somebody's clogging one of our mains to the point where it almost had a pollution overflow, and we sit back and say, well, maybe we'll get a lien, and maybe they'll have to pay 18% at the end of the year, and that's the best we can do? Why can't we, you think about a citizen's complaint, I mean, Buddy Amato enforcing dog laws has more power than we do, and these people almost caused the catastrophe. So I'm telling you right now, it's really sticking in my craw, and I don't know what to do about it, but.
The building department, somebody from the town windows department said there'd be a civil complaint filed by Township against the property owner, the operator of the establishment. I'm not sure exactly which one would be most effective, if not whole. But
Okay, civil complaint is Law Division, Monmouth County, and that would be something in the order of an order show cause, is what we call it, something looking for emergent relief. I'm just saying, I'm feeling real powerless as an entity where somebody can cause that kind of damage, and we sit back and say, we're fining you $1,000, but you're gonna have to pay 18% interest at the end of the year. So I think we have to look into this, I wish Rich were here, but as an attorney, it really offends me greatly that that's the best we can say, is that we almost had a catastrophe, and we're gonna assess them $1,000, and we're not taking them right to Middletown or right to Judge Cleary out of Chancery Court and saying, you're gonna stop this right now because you're posing a hazard to everybody upstream. So I kind of glossed over it, but I'm telling you now, I sat back and listened to a lot of stuff, that one really is offending me. So I think that that's not something we should just ignore. If we have to tell Rich, bring an order to show cause before Judge Cleary, bring this restaurant before Judge Cleary, this unnamed restaurant, let's do it. I don't want to feel powerless, and I don't like that feeling.
Andy, make a motion, I think you're absolutely right. Make a motion to direct Rich,
Look
to
into
do
it.
that. And to, well,
And
not just look into it, to do
I
it.
think we have to look at our rules and regs too.
Thank you.
Okay.
We do, and I think we need to look to that. We also, we are, I forget who said it, we have the same rights as any other person aggrieved in the township of Middletown. And that is, if I went to the building department or whoever the enforcement entity is, and they said to me, there's nothing we can do about it, I would be frosted beyond belief, and I would not let it stand there. So I think you're right. Let's look and see how far we can go with this, but I can't accept that we're powerless. When you told me that this almost created a problem in that area, I mean, it's one thing when you have a minor clog that Roto-Rooter comes out and, you know, gets rid of, but this could have been catastrophic.
yeah, it could have been a release of sewage overflowing into the streets, into the water.
And there should be a
End of story.
time period where they can have to correct it, and if not, then it should go to a $5,000 fine. And the same thing, and incrementally increase the fine.
We shut them down.
And can I tell you something, John? I'm not looking at fines, and I understand that this entity doesn't want to be paying, but every single nickel that's spent on Rich Leahy or whoever it is, that they have to go out there and they have to get Judge Cleary to issue an order immediately. We'll go fix it, we'll go clean it, but they're gonna be paying us immediately or face a contempt charge. Judge Cleary has contempt powers where she can issue a contempt order. You clean it, Thompson goes out, we'll clean it ourselves. I don't want anybody to do my work for me. We'll clean it, we'll send the guys out, we'll get it all cleaned out, but we're gonna send you the bill and our legal fee, and you're gonna pay it all. If you don't, then you go back to Judge Cleary and tell her why. So I don't think we're as powerless, Brian, as it appears. I think there's more to it. Even if it's just sending Rich to Judge Cleary and saying, we've got a major problem here and letting her deal with it. She will deal with it.
Do we have, and I don't think we don't have a policy where we go inspect we do?
We do, yeah.
And that's us, that's not the
No, that's
health
not us.
department.
That was an accidental finding, it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I asked how it came up.
Yeah, I
I
know,
mean,
good
to
question.
monitor,
Oh, I know you can't monitor.
grease traps are just, you know, the best you can get out there is maybe
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yeah, but if we take action on this, it'll send a strong message to all the restaurants,
They all talk.
okay? But
Word gets around.
$1,000 fine is not enough to stop this.
I don't want the money.
I
want it
understand
fixed.
that, it's
Yeah, that's it.
we want it resolved before it becomes a pollution hazard.
Yeah.
And how many people could be sickened by it that are in that area?
Right, Tom, you write the headline.
there's a lot,
There's a headline for the press.
there's a lot of issues
Who's
with
looking
that
pretty
too.
stupid?
Because you got conversions of buildings, strip malls or whatever, where a restaurant takes over. And, you know, the options just aren't there to put in a proper grease trap. I mean, the whole thing's gotta be replumbed unless you go, you know, with
And
something.
you need space outside of the building.
No, I really think we need to have Rich look at it, we need to look at our rules and regs and see where we can amend them, and thank you, Andy, for your
Yeah.
comments.
Yeah, our grease trap program basically at this point is we have about 40 restaurants identified, and in the winter months, the collection guys go around and check each one, and that's pretty much the program. If we find a problem, they'll go back, they'll give a warning letter, go back in a couple weeks, make sure it's clean, but that's.
Yeah, but this is the only one, as I remember, we found.
It's the worst one we found, yeah.
Yeah, but have you given other warning letters out?
We've given warning letters, but we've gone back and they've addressed the problems.
Okay.
Will we go back the following year, is it the same restaurant again? That- Because if, you know, you're saying we only go out once a year, then they correct the problem, and then for the remaining 11 months, they're all greased up, so to speak.
Well, it takes time to do something.
How long does it take for it to?
Depends how much they dump into the drain.
There's so much variations because it's the size of the unit, how close it is to the discharge,
Right.
the temperature of the water.
Okay, but if it's the same restaurant year after
Yeah.
year, I think we need to do a permanent solution rather than,
Well, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah,
But we gotta start someplace.
Yeah.
This is a good candidate.
Yeah,
yeah.
excellent
Well, we-
candidate. But we had, again,
Work on
it
it.
can't take 6 years to do.
Well,
It
yeah,
has to be
somebody,
impressed
in the
upon.
letter going out to, do we express how many days he's gotta respond? How many days you have to respond? You give him 10 days to respond?
No.
Send him another letter, give him 10
Tighten it up.
days.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, well, let's put forth that we have Rich look into this, do everything, and then all the suggestions come up here. Let
Yeah.
Rich.
okay. Now, do you need a vote, or did we do that already?
Do we have a motion pending?
That's what I'm wondering.
No,
No, we
Okay,
don't, we
so
don't
should
have
we make a
anything.
let's
Oh,
make a
just a
motion?
comment.
I think it's comments, but I think we should, Andy should make that into a motion that the board direct Rich to do what we were talking about.
Yeah, and I do make a motion that we have legal counsel for TOMSA look into the remedies available to this board, whether civil, criminal, or a hybrid, to determine whether we can beef up our enforcement, or, that's probably the wrong word, whether we have any enforcement rights beyond liens and civil penalties.
Legal action.
I second that.
Okay, roll call?
We actually,
You can say all in favor, really, on that one.
Okay. You want to do a voice vote, or we're all in favor?
I don't do individual. Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
I would be,
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
yes.
And Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
And the 2 alternates also supporting, on the record.
they did call, and somebody claiming to be affiliated with the restaurant did call about the $1,000 and the
And what did
amount
they
of the
say?
bill. He asked, well, why the $1,000? And I'm hearing this is secondhand. One
Okay.
of the
Staff.
answered, basically what was the $1,000 for, and that's on his bill, and it was explained to him.
How much did it cost us to clean out the line?
Well, the $1,000 assessment is based upon how much it would cost Oswald, for us to have Oswald go out and clean it. Although we did it with our equipment, labor, and manpower, it was to try and put a real world dollar amount to it.
But our cost is a little bit more than Oswald's because we have a pension system, we have a few other,
Anyway,
shall we say, benefits packages.
$1,000 is a good start.
It's a good start, but that's got to be.
Let's see their response and make sure they respond.
Think Oswald's not charging the same thing you are?
Yeah, if he has the same pension plan.
That doesn't
Okay,
mean
so,
that.
moving along, we're on item number 20, guys.
Yeah, the maintenance department, Judge.
George?
Yes, I'm sorry. Oh, I guess the 2 key accomplishments this month were the fair enforcement, of course, and we got our fine screen repaired, so that's all done, back up and running, and hope it never happens again.
It will, you know.
Ricky accident.
Yeah, someday. We won't be
Who's the
around.
terrorist that put that log in there?
Candy strikes at one.
Well, before we adjourn,
Well, next, the public comment.
So,
oh, okay. Public comment.
We're at public comments?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a few, very interesting discussion tonight. Linda Baum, 19 May Court. A comment regarding the grease disposal issue. I was wondering if anyone checked outside that restaurant, if whether or not they had a grease bin, which is pretty common for a lot of restaurants now, because the grease, used cooking oil, is actually a commodity.
I'm not aware that we checked for that.
Okay, I would recommend doing that, I mean, because it's pretty common. I mean, I've actually taken pictures of these grease bins outside of restaurants, and some of the people that I've spoken to say it's really, it's kind of commonplace now. It's more the norm than anything else. Here's one.
We talked about that a while ago.
Biodiesel.
Yeah, you know, this had come up once before, and I suggested maybe having sort of a softer, gentler approach with these businesses rather than, you know, slapping them with a fine, maybe you can do that, maybe work also to educate them. This is something where maybe were they to put it out in one of these bins, they could make some money off of it. So it benefits them, it benefits us. For example, here's a bin that's outside of it's a photo, this is what I do, I go around and take photos of grease bins. And it's outside of the Four Seasons restaurant in Eatontown, and it's a company called Darling International, and it's a bin specifically for used cooking oil. And let's see, I have another one that I took, not quite as professional looking, it's more of just a barrel. I mean, you don't need anything fancy, but it says, it's a black barrel that says cooking grease for service call, and it says like RWB product, and that's down in the Jackson area. So it's a pretty common thing for people to dispose of this in a way that benefits the environment, you know, themselves, the sewer system.
We did something on this a while ago. Do you remember, does anyone remember where we went with that?
We
Well,
talked
the
about it
township
because
did.
the township was doing that
Use it
with
to-
Public Works to make a
Public Works.
biodiesel. They were collecting it from the various restaurants. Obviously, they need to pay this restaurant to visit.
Yeah, they don't actually make biodiesel, they actually use the straight grease. I think they just strain it. They'd be better off if they made biodiesel, because the straight
Yeah,
grease
they-
is actually clogging the engines a little.
After a while, they kind of screw up the engines.
Yeah, so I mean, there's,
Trying to get it worked out, but it is.
can I move on, because my 5 minutes is ticking. But, yeah, I think the town's program definitely needs work, but this is just an idea, if you can maybe work to educate that business and maybe hook them up with, what was the name of it, Darling International? The number's right on here, I could give it to you after the meeting, so I'm gonna put that down. Couple other comments, let's see. At the meeting, this meeting, there was Resolution 7114, it was tabled, but it was tabled for, this had to do with special counsel. It was tabled not because you decided not to hire them, but because you were going to change the name of who was hired. What was the purpose of the appointment of special
We're gonna
counsel?
get to that. Yeah,
But you are hiring special counsel,
we are.
and the purpose?
We're going to get to that
At a public meeting?
at a public meeting.
Okay, we'll follow up with that at the next meeting. What minutes were adopted at this public meeting? Were they public minutes, executive session minutes? What were-
Public.
Public
June
from the June
16th.
meeting.
Yeah.
Are we still, is this board still approving their executive session minutes in executive session? Is that still happening? Because every time, at all of these meetings, I ask you which minutes were adopted at the public meeting, and it's always the public session minutes. And if you're supposed to be adopting minutes, executive session, public session, only in public session. So again, I'm just gonna mention that. And that's not opinion, that's just the law.
Next.
Just a couple other things. I checked the minutes from, I guess it was the May meeting was the last one that was posted on your website, and pretty much under public comments at almost every meeting, that one and all the others that I've commented at, it says exactly the same thing. Linda Baum had comments about the authority's operation, and that's all it says. It doesn't mention what those comments are. And the minutes, that's pretty much what it says on all the minutes. They're like a boilerplate from one meeting to the next, except for things like date, attendance, and the resolution numbers. And it's not likely that the minutes meet the standard for the minutes preparation for public agencies, especially with that boilerplate format. You know, I can speak for 5 minutes, it says absolutely nothing on your minutes. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. Again, I know I've mentioned it before. Apparently, I need to continue to mention it because it hasn't been corrected. Also, this public notice that was recently in the newspaper, it announced a contract award, and it mentioned either failed to mention the contractor name or the price. I can't quite recall because it was about a month ago. I'm not sure what the rule is, but it seems to me if you're going to publish a notice, it should probably mention both the contractor name and the price of the award. Let's see. And I guess that's it for now. Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. After the public comments, I have something I would like to talk about for a minute, and Rich isn't here, so I couldn't ask him when or where it was appropriate.
Yeah.
But, yeah, sure, thank you. We had the 350 parade, as you all know, which was wonderful in town. And some of our employees here went above and beyond. Fran decorated a truck to be in the parade, which I thought was just absolutely fabulous for those of you who went to the parade and saw it. And I have pictures here of everyone who attended, and I would like if you, Ray, could thank them personally for us. Let's see, we have George, we have Deidre, we have myself, all decked out in a lovely Thompson shirt. We have Brooke, we have Dave Eigenbrow, we have Abel.
Decked
Fran.
out in an official Thompson shirt also.
Yeah, it was official, and he stood out.
And with the proper colors also, it matched Fran.
No stains on it, was it?
He stood out very nicely, but he didn't look quite as good as I did in my.
I had the proper color.
With my shirt and my belt, but we all did have a great time at the parade. And I think I have a picture here for each one of them. And if you could personally thank them for us from the board. I have an extra picture if you deem that you would like to do something with it. And then this is a separate picture for Fran of him in his truck. You can all see him waving. But it was a great parade. It was wonderful. We're so happy that Middletown put this on. And I think that really says a lot about our employees, that they were willing to give a bit personal time to come into the parade and join us. So these are all the pictures in the frames for you to give out and thank. And I will leave them here and you can do whatever with them. So with that, I guess we should close the meeting.
We're going to executive session.
No, you're not closing the meeting, you're closing the public portions of the meeting to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel, litigation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, thank you so much.
So moved.
Okay,
got
so
that,
I have a
Nico?
first, now I need a second. I guess you would be the first and you can be the second.
I'll second.
Okay, did you get that?
Is that the official motion that you just made?
That was the official motion.
It's non-compliant.
Okay, tell us what's compliant. Since our attorney is in here, we need
As long as you're
to-
asking.
We need to close the meeting. We need
No,
to.
no, we're not closing the meeting, we're moving to executive session.
Public portion of the meeting, move to the executive session, and we should vote on it.
Yeah, there's
Right.
two issues.
Go ahead.
You know, you could either make a motion and state the specific reasons for going into executive session or have a resolution. But in both cases, it's not sufficient to list just the general categories. There should be sufficient, specific information given about the specific topics within
Okay,
those
so
categories.
we're closing, Tom, do you want to try it again?
So in other words, if you were to
Sure,
say
we're-
litigation, you
we're-
state the case.
We're closing the public portion of the meeting to go into executive session to discuss matters of personnel items and litigation items, and only other items that are allowed to be discussed under executive session.
Perfect, thank you.
Still doesn't fly, but nice try.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mrs. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yeah.
Mrs. Epstein?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes. Okay, thank you all. Good night.
Ms. Bone,
Oh,
was that Darling International?
yes.
Yeah, I actually wrote it down. Property says property of Darling International. It says inedible cooking oils only, which means used. You want to write down the number 1-866-658-2145, 625 Wilson Avenue, Newark, New Jersey, 07105.
That's great. Thank you.
And it actually says on here, $500 reward for taking this stuff, so it has value.
I know bakeries do that. My dad used to do that with his bakeries, because they, donuts and things like that, all the oils.
Yeah.
But
Okay, all right.
I'm actually surprised. I've never seen them outside of like a lot of other